Good evening. Welcome to the Mancunian way. Hope we are all good. And good morning to Rich, Pat, and Alan. How are we, gentlemen?
Hello, Martin. All's well here. Thank you. Everybody in the chat, I hope you're all doing well too.
Very good.
Good?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Very good.
Before we get going, I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to start with a rant because I don't give a flying 2-ton shit what anyone is about to think. This Manchester City fan base was built very differently to United, Liverpool, and all the other so-called heritage football teams that were out there. What has been going on the last few weeks, particularly last night, was beyond revolting, disgusting, and something Manchester City fan base has never ever been built on. It's absolutely fine, not a problem to criticise players constructively. But when you are sat there laughing away at United fans for mocking and destroying Harry Maguire, and then you turn around, wish cancer upon Sergio Gomez, cancer upon Calvin Phillips, and to wish Jack Grealish to never play for the football club again because he's absolute dog shit, and he's horrible, and he's a drunk, and everything else, we're beyond even doing constructive criticism at that point. You can't take getting beat in a football game. Manchester City's not for you. Because if you think you're sat here winning trebles, winning titles, winning FA Cups, winning Champions Leagues, great. If you think it's going to last forever, get your head out the clouds, because it won't. We used to ask a question, what will ever happen to this fan base when Pep Guardiola leaves or we stop winning? We saw it. We saw it. Because losing a game that simply, Pep said for 7 full days, we were not really fully taking control of because of the situation with the Club World Cup. Despite taking nearly 5,000 hardcore fans up there last night, by the way, getting home at 2, 3, half 3 in the morning, some people, and they're having to read such absolute vileness, disgustingness coming out of our so-called fan base is a joke. And we weren't going to give any of this airtime, but I'm sick of it. I may be a dinosaur. Alan may be a dinosaur. Rich may be a dinosaur. Other people in the chats may be dinosaurs. But I tell you what, we'll still be here when we're shit and losing again. Half of you lot won't be. And I ain't talking to people in the chat. I'm talking about to the vileness that goes on online. Because I've had it up to here. I'm sick to death of it. That is not what Manchester City was built on. Manchester City was very proud that we had a proud fan base. You know, do you know what made me, you know what filled me with warmth last night? Is that St. James's Park was silent. Silent for 50 minutes. And we sang Is This the Etihad to him. Because we've got that sense of humour. We can laugh at ourselves. We get told that the Etihad's silent, and we go there and sing Is This the Etihad? We sing about empty seats because we have a sense of humour. City till we die is not just a nice catchphrase, something that means something to us. So if you can't take certain players or you can't back certain players, yes, they may not be good enough for Manchester City, but don't destroy them. Don't kill them. Because they read this. And I said it in a tweet earlier. Bullying wasn't good 20, 30 years ago when we did it with Richard Edge or some people. It ain't good now. So grow up, back the team, and start realising what football club you're supporting. Because we ain't United, we ain't Liverpool. Grow up and get with it. Anyway, rant over. Evening, gentlemen.
Thank you, Martin.
Evening.
I think that was
I'll
what
talk
needed to be said.
because that was what. Yeah, I was on that little stream that you had on Twitter the other night, and the fans don't know the ball. We've just won the treble, for God's sake.
Mm.
We dreamt of just winning one trophy, years and years ago, and a trip to Wembley would do. If you can't handle it, and people are having a go at Jack Grealish, oh my God! Remember, he was part of the team that won the treble. Won the treble. Do one.
Yeah.
If you don't like it.
Oh, it's just, I'll tell you the other thing that got on my nerves last night, and I said this to you, was just the utter patronisation of Newcastle for celebrating beating us. We're the best team in the world, and if you can't celebrate beating City in football, then what's the point of football, honestly? And it's not the
You're going to call it Coca-Cola Cup?
No. I was thinking of the charity.
It's the milk cup.
No, the community shield. That's the Rumbelows Cup. I was thinking of the community shield. Arsenal celebrated drawing that, and that is a friendly. But the League Cup is a competitive game. Every right to celebrate it. And if Newcastle want to become what City have become, they've got to go and win the Littlewoods Rumbelows Carabao Cup. So they absolutely should celebrate it. And the way some people on Twitter were patronising it was just like watching United fans patronising us for celebrating them 3-1, beating them 3-1. Was it 21 years ago, whenever that was, and how that meant everything to us, and it was bloody fantastic. And I don't like seeing City fans talking down to other clubs like United fans or Liverpool fans talk down to us, because it's wrong when United and Liverpool fans do it, and it's wrong when City fans do it. I just, good to have some banter, but I just think there's a bit of ungraciousness and tweets about players should die of cancer and F off out of our club, going to the players and the club. It's just beyond contemptible, to be honest. It's just pathetic, absolutely pathetic.
Remember that if we'd have got through to the quarterfinals, we wouldn't have been able to play in it anyway, because we're in Saudi Arabia. So at the end of the day, just remember, he's given people like Oscar Bob a game, and giving minutes to Calvin Phillips, which he desperately needs. And while the City players, I'll support them. If Calvin Phillips at the end of the season goes somewhere else, then that's fine. But until they do that, they're a City player, and you've got to back them. The only way he's going to improve is by playing minutes, and he needed that. Yeah. He needed the minutes the other day. So support the guy, for God's sake.
And if you don't want Grealish, he'll get his game back by playing.
If you don't want to support them, then please do one. Go spot that red shite from across the road.
Super City, by the way, I wish it was kids, mate, but some of them are big City fans, or supposedly big City fans with big City accounts. So I wish it was just. And do you know what? People say ignore Twitter. I've blocked and muted loads of them, and for some weird reason, they all keep appearing still on my timeline. I don't know why. So blocking them and muting them don't help.
Because Elon wants to obviously use his algorithms to amplify absolute crap rather than amplify sensible things. It's not just, there is a small element we've always had. I remember first games I went to see, abuse, sitting in the main stand and old men just shouting abuse at Paul Power. Now, Paul Power to me is one of the all-time, lifetime blues,
absolutely.
Pretty local lad who played for City for 500 games, an absolute decent player. And he was getting dogs abuse, and I'm like sitting there 7 years old or whatever, listening to Power getting dogs abuse. I'm like, couldn't understand it. Edge Hill, the same. So there have been players who've always had that.
Rich, I'm going to interrupt there, and I said I wasn't going to do this, and I will just come back to your comment in a minute, mate.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is Richard Edgell lived next door to my sister, actually, at Roland. Doesn't live there now, so I can say it. My sister doesn't. At Roland Barnes. I'm telling you now, Richard Edgell's football career was destroyed on what some City fans did to him back then. Destroyed. So it isn't just fans abroad, it's fans locally as well, because I was in the ground last night and Calvin Phillips got absolute dog's abuse within the crowd last night. So it wasn't just fans online. I mean, Jack Grealish and Phillips last night, I nearly had a go at someone in the ground last night because you'd have thought Phillips and Grealish had been sleeping with his missus the way he was carrying on.
Maybe they had.
Like, whoa. And do you know what's so sad about this is I don't see why there's suddenly become this argument of one or the other. And the simple fact is there will be games where we use Jack Grealish and there'll be games where we use Doku and there'll be games where we're playing both together. And if you can't get your head around that, then I'm sorry, I can't help you. If you think Doku's going to play 60-odd games this season and score 60 goals and 45 assists, then you're living in Cloud Cuckoo land.
And actually,
I help you.
I was listening to a podcast the other day with someone who talked to Marty Perinow, who's obviously, very closely linked to City.
Where?
No, Marty Perinow, not Marty Pelé.
I was going to say, someone get that.
But he'd been, he said that it was very much Doku was signed to play the opposite wing to Phillips because Pep wants that, I guess, control on one side and that absolute raw pace and, risk factor on the other. And so they're signed to play together because they completely opposite, as far as Pep sees, opposite skill sets in wingers. So actually, they're probably, Doku's probably competing more against someone like Phil for a position in that front line, or possibly Alvarez when we've got a full strength squad. Grealish is, if anyone, is probably competing against someone like Bernardo more. So it's just silly. People just don't think. But we don't want to be arrogant. We don't want to be pathetically bad losers, because I don't know, you most of you will be old enough to remember, or being in the UK, if you go back to the 90s and United lose a game or two games and there'd be United fans calling for Ferguson to go, and he'd have won them about 6 titles in the last 7 seasons. And at that time, and until Pep, along with maybe 2 or 3 people, the best manager the game had seen, and United fans were calling him for it to go after 1 or 2 games. And I just used to just absolutely take the piss out of them. But, we've got that amongst us now. And I guess it's, as United have turned into the Scousers, there's a few City fans who've turned into what United used to be.
So we did chant that last night. Where's your famous atmosphere? It was like literally a church in the first half. But that's a bit of banter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I got last night, by the way? I will come on to it. Pat, Newcastle United players did a lap of honour last night at the end of the game. That filled me with a lot of proudness, because I'm sat there going, wow, these are doing a lap of honour by beating Manchester City's B team in the 3rd round of the Carabao. They're doing a lap of honour. That was a bit of, that's respect to us.
Yeah.
That's
it was more than a B team, though.
Remember when we beat, I think, and sorry, Pat, one of your first ever games that made you a City fan, as I remember, was the 3-1 derby in November the 9th, 2003.
Two.
Well, 2002-3 season. And do you know what? When we beat them that day, you'd have thought the Premier League trophy was coming out into the middle of the pitch. because, and I always remember I watched it back.
And the World Cup.
Yeah.
By the way, some people are going to laugh now. They had VHSs in these days. Even though still in the early 2000s, they had a VHS. And I always remember Martin Tyler was on it singing. And he said at the end at full time, they'll print the T-shirts, they'll raise the scarves, they'll buy the DVDs, they'll buy the videos, the printing T-shirts. And that's what it felt like with Newcastle last night. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. I take a lot of pride out of that.
Yeah. Do you know what, Martin? I celebrated that 3-1 derby win more than I probably celebrated us winning the league last year. Because it mattered more. It's like beating Gillingham in a Division 2 playoff. I've never celebrated anything in my life like that. There's things, and I think that's good for Newcastle. That is the mentality they need. They need to celebrate beating City. They need to believe now that they've beaten City in a competitive game. They'll take that into the league, into some. I think they've got a few easier games in the league coming up. Get themselves back in the top 5, and that'll give them momentum. And let's hope they beat United, and then they go and actually, go and win the trophy.
City's on fire tonight. Should bring Stuart Pearce back for a season and teach these kids a lesson. Why do you want to put us through that again?
From what I remember of that game was, yeah, sure, it did seem a little bit excessive. I wasn't one to comment on it because it was one of the first times I'd ever watched City play. But when I remember the commentary saying at the end of the game, they said I think it was City's first win since 1989. So when I heard that, I was like, "What? You took 13 years between derby wins or something like that?" I was like, "Yeah, go and enjoy that. Milk it for as much as you can." So I felt it was justified enough.
Trust me, we did milk it. We lived on.
You milked the first one. You milked the first one a year later when you moved to the city of Manchester.
Yeah, we did.
And the following year too, yeah.
It keeps us going for weeks and weeks and weeks. Yeah. Trust me, it did.
The simple fact about this is Manchester City, and we'll get into it now. We went up there to Newcastle last night, and Pep had been saying all week, we're doing it on all the previews, he was giving it 1% of his energy. Because of the predicament we were in. We were in a predicament at the time because nothing had been changed, nothing had been rearranged. So we could only go with the facts that we had. And like Pep said, on the 18th of December was going to be the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. Manchester City were due to play in Saudi Arabia on the 19th of December. Now, sorry, I had a hangnail. Just to explain the enormity of that, it wasn't just the players that were going to be over in Saudi Arabia. All of the fitness crew would be over in Saudi Arabia. Pep Guardiola would be over in Saudi Arabia. All the coaches would be over in Saudi Arabia. All of the psychologists and sports analysts will be over there in Saudi Arabia.
Security.
So not only would we have had to have had, if we had got through, the under-18s team play, we would have had to have had the under-18s manager. We would have had to have had the under-18s EDS, sports stuff and everything else. There would have been nothing first team of Manchester City going to that quarterfinal because we were on the other side of the world.
Yeah. If you want to get an idea of it, go back and look at what Liverpool had to deal with in 2019.
Yeah.
Prime example. It's a prime example.
Do you know what? For all the all the debates and discussion, I think there's one very, very simple thing that City fans can look at and realise what the thinking of the club was. We're 1-0 down in the game, half an hour to go, Erling Haaland on the bench. Is there a circumstance in 1,000 years where Pep wants to win that game and leaves Haaland on the bench? No. Pep left Haaland on the bench, and I actually wonder if City had scored an equaliser late on, would Pep have celebrated or hooked the player and told him they're dropped for Saturday? Because I genuinely think the fact that Haaland didn't come off, the substitutions that were made for fitness and rotation purposes, the fact that Haaland didn't come off says Pep didn't want to win it. But at the same time, if I was Pep, I'd have played the under-18s. He played quite much
He
stronger team
played.
than I would have thought. So Newcastle can actually celebrate beating, you know,
Do you know what,
10
Rich?
of those
Do you know
players
what's
are players who
forgotten
can
here?
play for our first team.
Newcastle played well second half.
Yeah.
You've got to give Newcastle a little bit of credit here. They played well second half. Livramento was very, very good, as Billy says.
And they wanted it.
Review. It was a very
They
good
wanted
channel
it.
as well. I'm not saying City went there to lose and blah blah blah. The point I'm making is City went there with a very different mentality than Newcastle. You saw that in the fact of the substitutes. At half time, when they were getting overrun, they brought Gordon on, they brought Bruno Guimaraes on. Our subs didn't appear till like the 75th minute. And then what we did was we brought Doku and Foden on and took Alvarez off. So we brought the supply line on and had nobody to put the ball in the back of the net. He said to Haaland, sit there, you're not moving, do not get undressed, do not budge. That's why there was no big hoo-ha from Pep last night. That's why he was smiling at the end. It wasn't because we didn't want to win it or we were chucking it. It was the simple fact is we couldn't win this competition.
It was like he went back in the preseason mode.
Yeah, there was nothing.
And he didn't get any injuries. Yeah, he must have been so worried about getting injuries.
Go out there and play around and have a bit of fun if you can, yeah.
If you remember, we were banged where Liverpool were 3 or 4 years ago when they got smacked by Villa 5-0. Because of the FIFA were not going to change any of the fixtures because they're not. They planned the World Club Cup, the World Club, whatever it's called.
World Club Cup.
See, so, do you know the funny thing is? I've never even watched one of them games ever. And now I'm sat there going, you know what? I've got to be dead committed into this come December. I've never watched a Club World Cup game.
Yeah. I was actually.
All right. Two things, Martin. If I'm just going to be slightly pedantic as well, too. You said the 18th. That's the week commencing Monday, the 18th of December. Yeah. For all we know, if we made it, EFL's going to probably roster that game to be on a Thursday. It's probably going to be in between the semi-final and the final of the Club World Cup. So logistically, it's absolutely impossible, beyond impossible, if such a thing exists. But let's not forget the big elephant in the room as well, too. Did anybody see the draw? Had we gone through, we would have had to play the Rags at the Swamp. Then we would have been an even more of a dilemma.
And then
another rotational nightmare. 2016 all over again, where we played half beat.
As a fan, as a fan.
Could you imagine?
I didn't even wish that Newcastle would get United for that reason. I just saw it and I laughed. I just laughed. I was like,
do you know what made me laugh?
I hope they'll batter them.
Yeah. Alan, Rich and Thing are saying it's a great point. If we'd have won last night and got United at the Swamp, there's not one fan that would have gone, yes, your reserves out going to Old Trafford. We'd have demanded first team, go there, batter them. And then we're putting ourselves in an even more big predicament. So in a way, on hindsight, it kind of all worked out.
Yeah, I think
Newcastle go to the Swamp and batter.
But here's the thing, though. This is again going back to what you said at the top of the show. What you said at the top of the show, Martin. If we'd beat the Rags and gone through to the quarterfinal, us, the dinosaur, the older ones, we'd all be laughing our heads off. What the hell are we going to do now for this quarterfinal? While that younger Twitter generation are just going to X generation are going to go absolutely nuts
Sorry, Pat. I'm just going to get Steve Bell just a quick one. We're not Arsenal, mate. We don't do this. We have bigger fish to fry nonsense. Trust me now, if we hadn't have had the Club World Cup, we'd have given the Carabao the full works. Pep, that is the first time Pep's really sort of dodged the competition. Pep normally doesn't do that. It was just scheduling that screwed us over, sadly.
And by the way, you don't really want bigger fish to fry up in the northwest anyway. Some of the fish that you eat at the Chippy Teas and that is massive.
What's wrong with the Chippy Tea?
Martin.
As you can tell, Martin.
No, Chippy Tea, not Chippy Tits.
Hang on, Martin. Did you wear that? Did you wear that black and white top that you've got on now at on the way down? Because I saw the car video, and you were wearing a black and white top.
No, this is a jumper. That was a t-shirt.
Right, so you're wearing black and white when you were going to Newcastle. Hello?
I had a
Oh, dear.
Manchester City coat on. I didn't realise there was a colour coordinated thing. Hello, Coffee. How are you? No, let's get into it. So obviously the team last night was Ortega in goal, which I think we kind of expected, really, looking at that. Yep. It was Ortega in goal. Get it up. Rico Lewis, who, I'll be honest, didn't think had a great game. Gavardio and Akanji. Lewis Phillips. Akanji, Gavardio, Ake, Lewis Phillips. Gomez surprisingly started on the right wing. Oscar Bob started as our number 10. Mateo Kovacic back from injury. Jack Grealish back from injury. And Julian Alvarez, who looked very lost in the striking position actually yesterday. Because I think he was used to playing the number 10 role now. He looked very a bit weird in that number 9. Our bench was Walker, Diaz, Haaland, Doku, Nunes, Edison, Carson, Foden, and Hamilton. Newcastle, again, didn't play their strongest team either, to be fair. They did play their number 1 goalie, Nick Pope. Livramento came in for, a proper start. Lascelles, Dummett, Target, Milet, Tanalet, Joe Linton, Murphy, Isaac, and Hall. Hall was the big surprise one because I thought he was a defender and then suddenly he became part of their front 3. But you said, Rich, that was a stronger lineup than you originally thought. Why? Because who was you expecting?
I'd have played 11 players, most of whom I've barely heard of, apart from...
They weren't ready, though. Pep said that.
It doesn't matter if they're not ready. I just
mature enough,
the injuries. Well, possibly true. I'm just saying that's... I would have played the team that would have had to play the quarterfinal if we won, so that if we won, by the time they got to the quarterfinal, they'd had the experience. And if they're not ready and they lose, 5-0, c'est la vie. But
only thing honestly, with that, Rich, I don't know if you're having a stitch up, but they did play 24 hours prior at Barnsley.
Well, but they wouldn't have. But they wouldn't have played 24 hours at Barnsley. Yeah.
Let's be honest, they got smacked by Barnsley. So what made you think? Pep made the point. We'd sold all our EDS, Rich. Our EDS were all gone.
No. I'm just saying
there was nobody left.
If you don't want to win, if you're not going to go out and play a team to really win a game, I'd play a team that even if they go and lose 8-0, I'm just saying, and they wouldn't have played at Barnsley the night before because I'd have played the under-16s against Barnsley because that's the obviously the only way to do it. And maybe the reason they didn't is because, there was an under-16s game they did want to take seriously and they did want to take the Barnsley game seriously, and therefore, and he thought, and I get the point. I think Phillips needed a game. I think possibly Kovacic and Grealish needed a game. Gomez needs a game. Ortega needs a game. So when I say play the under-18s, there's probably 5 or 6 of that team I would have played, but I wouldn't have played Alvarez. I wouldn't have played Gvardiol. I probably wouldn't have played Akanji.
All right, who would you play? No, I'm not trying to trick you here, Rich. When you look at the bench,
I'll have to go to the under-18s website and pick some random names.
Couldn't Rich? Could they play the night before?
No, but they
wouldn't. They can't play 24 hours.
What I'm saying is,
Rich, what the under-15s out?
No, they wouldn't have played the night before. I would have played the under-16s.
You had to, Rich, because it was another competition.
No. Yes, but you could have played the under-16s in that one. So I would check the phone base.
Down to like
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I'd have framed the Barnsley game to
They did throw the Barnsley game.
Are you hoping that Michael Carrick's boys that were at the City Academy? Are you hoping that they play the game so that we're guaranteed of having 2 players that will definitely throw it for us?
Just ask yourself this.
You have to go to United. Just do us one last parting gift before you go.
Imagine last night Alvarez had done his ACL or something. I mean,
Rich,
we could have played up our season.
This is why I said 2 weeks ago this was your fault on injuries. Because oh my God, Alan's become PS4 gamer. What I was saying to you was, Let us know how you get on in Fortnite. What I was saying to you said with no injuries, we're all right. We've suddenly got a flood of injuries, and you want to throw
I
15s
said the opposite. I said the opposite. I said we had exceptional injuries last year, and that was inevitably not going to be something that was always happening. So why I wanted to add to the squad a bit when I think you were concerned in some positions we had enough players. I'm like, we're gonna have injuries,
Alan,
and it's happened.
Alan, sorry, I thought I could hear myself doubling back. I don't know why. I thought it was when Alan put his headphones in.
No,
Ethan
mine just went on and off, so maybe it was that.
Ethan asked why was Pep Butts, because he wasn't happy with Chris Cabanot, because of there was a City player who'd gone down earlier, a Newcastle player who'd gone down earlier in the game, and City had stopped play, and the ref had stopped play for him to get treatment, but he got up. Sergio Gomez got absolutely clattered, I think it was by Bruno Guimaraes, and the ref did nothing, and they played on. So I think Pep was like not very happy with it. I am just going to ask this because someone has asked. Where is it gone now? I will just come back to you. Saigon, but why are we not allowed to criticise Grealish? No one's saying you can't criticise Grealish. We're asking, what is it about last night you're criticising him for? Because he's not played all season virtually, apart from Sheffield United and Newcastle. Newcastle, he was arguably alongside Foden's man of the match. Sheffield United, he assisted for a goal for Haaland. And last night, he'd just come back from an injury. And when you come back from an injury, so I don't know what is it you're criticising him for.
Do you know what, Martin, as well? I think one of the problems with some of the criticism, and you'll get it both ways, because I'm sure Doku will get it the other way, is if Doku gets criticised for not being able to control the tempo of the game as much as Grealish, that's unfair, because Doku's not been brought in to control the tempo of a game like Grealish. If Grealish is criticised, like I've seen, for not being as fast as Doku, well, honestly, no shit, Sherlock. He's not as fast as Doku. He's never going to be as fast as Doku. And he wasn't signed to be as fast as Doku. Doku was signed to be as fast as Doku. The point is, you have ingredients in a team, Sherlock. And you need the different ingredients in a team. It's like making your roast dinner and criticizing that potatoes are better than bloody carrots. You actually want both. It's not like, oh, potatoes are better than carrots, I'm going to make a roast dinner and we'll just have a plate of potatoes. I mean, it's just stupid. They're different players. They have different roles. They were playing different games. They were playing different ways. And we need both. We won the treble because Jack's control was a huge part. But we have lacked an explosiveness and ability to, do what Sterling did in the last game against Villa to get that cross in to turn that game around, or do what Salah used to do. We've missed that. But because you have one, doesn't mean just completely jacking the other. You have both. You have variety. You have options. And then we've got more weapons to win big games. And, and it's not personal either. Even if you think a player's not playing well, it's not personal. It's not them as a person.
Shresfanyan. Sorry if I've said your name wrong and might have butchered that. My apologies. Man City need another striker. For who? What? You're not happy with Haaland and Alvarez? Saigon says not one shot on goal. What? What? So you're criticising Grealish? You didn't. How many shots on goal did Doku have? How many shots on goal did many of the players have? We didn't have any shots in the second half. Hardly.
Official
the only shot was Rico Lewis's.
Official stats say we had 2 shots on target.
Yeah. But you're just going to criticise Grealish.
The analysis is flawed. Sorry, man.
I'm see this is my point with criticism. You're criticising because you just want to criticise. We had 2 shots on target all game.
Well,
that is Grealish's fault.
Yeah, like we just said, who gives a shit? We weren't going to win that competition anyway, so who gives a shit? Sod.
I've watched every Club World Cup since it started. I get it, Alan. I think what did it for a lot was that first half performance. I think that first half performance, we discussed it last night, Alan. I think it gave everyone a little bit of hope. I think people went there thinking, oh, we've come to give this a bit of a game. And then second half, a little bit of both. Credit to Newcastle because they upped the game. They brought Gordon and Bruno on. And we just stopped. The only one for me, there was two players came out with a lot of credit. Vardio played okay. Mistake for the goal, him and Lewis. But it happens. Thought Oscar Bob was great, number 10. Young lad, thought he was phenomenal out there. Or in there, should I say. And then I thought everyone was just okay. Even people on about, Doku's a real winger. Doku made a fantastic run. And then after that, made 2 more runs and lost the ball twice. Nunes made 2 runs down the wing, lost the ball twice. It's football. It happens. I'm not going to have a go at Doku and Nunes because they made runs and lost the ball. Same way I'm not going to have a go at Grealish for doing it's. People need to realise Doku is not Grealish. Grealish is not Doku. They are very different players. Here's an example. When we played Nottingham Forest, we went down to 10 men. The first substitute that was taken off was who?
Doku.
Why?
Because Pep said he doesn't do the long sprints that they needed for, defending in the game.
Exactly. What did he say about the Fulham game? Or was it the Fulham or one of them? He said about losing control of the game. A lot of fans have started to believe because Doku's come in, we've dropped this control football. The first goal we scored against Nottingham Forest was 46 passes.
Second most in Premier League history, wasn't it?
There was no directness. There was no directness. It was pass. Tiki-taka football. Controlled football. Then when we got to 2-0, 10 men, we stopped and we controlled it. There can be a mixture between directness and controlling. Pep doesn't like one or the other. People just think because Doku's here, that's it, control's gone. We're going to directness game in, game out. What have you seen with Doku over the last 2 games? He stopped. He started passing back a lot more or sideways. You notice that? Where's that come from? Like Guardiola. Don't put your insecurities because what you want to play is not what Pep wants to play. Pep is the manager. And what you have to realise is when you are criticising Grealish playing or you're criticising whoever's going to play, Phillips or Gomez or whoever, you're criticising the manager. Because he chose him.
Yeah. People out there, I think people out there are just trying to create whatever they do in FIFA or EAFC and just trying to imagine that it should be reality or something like that.
Yeah, there's games. I mean, Alan, you said it perfectly last night. When we go to Anfield away, we will need to be a little bit more defensive because you'll have counter-attack from Salah or even Tottenham when they've got Son. So you're going to need maybe a Jack Grealish who'll do a bit more of the donkey work, a bit more of the defensive work while Doku gets up to speed with that. There'll be other games where you play a 10-man wall and you'll need a bit more directness.
When we play against the big sides, where they've got a threat going forward and on the counter, we're going to have to be more controlled. So you play Grealish in them games. I don't care if you like it or you don't.
Anyway, let's get back to the game. I'll come back to that in a minute, Lewis. I mean, funnily enough, the stats from the game itself were actually, they weren't overly bad, if I'm honest with you, compared to what some are saying the way we played. We obviously had the majority of the possession, 67%. We had 10 shots compared to Newcastle's 7. Where we failed was they only had 2 on target. They had 4 on target. They had 4 corners. We had 7. So other than shots on target, we were actually did them and all the stats. Now, this is why stats don't give you a full thing of the game. Again, people had to go at Calvin Phillips. Calvin Phillips is never, ever going to be Rodra. Let me get this straight right now. Calvin Phillips will never be Rodra. Calvin Phillips is a bit unique in our squad in terms of when you look at Bernardo, you look at even a Nunes, you look at a Kovacic even. They can play more than one position. They're a bit more versatile. Calvin Phillips can only play one position, number 6. And there's a problem. You've got the world's best number 6 sat there in front of him. So he has come as his replacement. There was a reason Declan Rice did not come to Manchester City. So you just have to. I think Calvin Phillips will make it at Manchester City? No. But what I will do is back the guy while he's here, and I will back him because he's done something that some players haven't done, and that showed a bit of backbone and a bit of fight. We've all slagged João Cancelo off because he didn't fight. As soon as he lost his place, toys came out the pram and he wanted out. Calvin Phillips ain't done that. I'm not saying he's a world beater. I'm not saying he doesn't need to improve. I'm not saying that he's going to play week in, week out. That's his choice. But while he's here, we have to back him. Because was he bad last night? No. Was he great last night? No. He did okay. But I've seen a lot of people never play him again. Sergio Gomez on the right wing didn't work. But I'm not going to slate him for it. I just, you've got to be careful how you word it. I don't know. I mean, what did anyone think of Calvin Phillips last night? I'm going to just get there.
I thought he did okay. He wasn't a world beater, but he did okay. You know, I didn't think he was shit. I didn't think he was brilliant, but he was okay. He did a job. That was it.
It seemed to me he was like a 6, 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was a pass.
There were a lot of players.
It was a pass mark given the circumstances, yeah.
There were a lot of players in that team who were 6, 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
There were players worse than him last night, and he did all right. I thought he did all right. And I just don't get some fans having a go at him. How can we have a go at him? We've never seen him play. So unless everyone sat inside the training ground and watched him train, I'm sorry, you have no right to say that.
Yeah. And let's be quite honest, even if he isn't and it seems it probably is that way, even if he's not the right player for City, because the skill, Pep says, I can't get out of him what Bielsa did. But Bielsa had a different team. He needed a different role, and they're playing at a different level of football. If it doesn't work out, well, that doesn't mean that Calvin's an awful person who deserves to be abused and insulted and everything else. It's just because he's not the right player at the right time for City. And as far as I'm concerned, if that's the case, I hope he leaves. I hope he goes to another club. I hope he does well, and I hope he goes to somewhere like, West Ham and does well, not someone I don't like. And good luck to him. But I'd never, the dog's abuse he got and tweeted directly to him, hate, the comments about cancer, the comments about going, basically go and kill yourself. So it's just awful, if he's Peter Sutcliffe, I get why someone like Peter Sutcliffe deserves that. He's a nice young lad who plays football and might not be the right player for City at the time. And he doesn't deserve abuse for that. He deserves, support, because he's not going to get better and have a good game when he's needed to play because people have told him they want him to die. He's going to get better because people say they believe in him and cheer for him and give him a bit of support. So I just get it. Like you said about Edgehill, you could see, I remember watching Edgehill in games getting abuse, and you could see his head drop, and you could see that the abuse from the fans was almost making inevitable what was happening to him. He came through as a young lad, and he was like to me, he was like the Terry Phelan of the right back role. He was quick. He was a good player, and he had a couple of bad games, and then people got hammered in. Mentally, you could see in some games, you could see it crushing him, and you know, whereas if the fans had got behind him, he'd have probably gone the other way, and his game would have been raised. And it's just, I don't know, it's just twatty behaviour, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Craig put, Doku offered so much more last night. Yeah, to a point. Like I said, he lost the ball twice after his one really amazing run. So I just think there's going to be games, but I don't see why it's one or the other. I don't see why it's the one or the other bit I'm not getting. Why can't it be both, or one used for one game, one for use for the other? Just amazes me.
It's very simple, Martin. You haven't got a brain.
No, do you know what it is? And it is very simple. They don't like Grealish. Just be honest with it.
Well,
you prefer your favourite player in, and that's fine. Not a problem.
But it is interesting how, if you're if you say you Phil and you have a bad game, it doesn't matter, because we all love Phil. He's 9 out of 10 Bank-based City fans. He's our favourite player. But it does seem to me, when we sign an English player from an English club and there's an association with other clubs, we do seem to turn against them pretty quickly. I mean, maybe I suppose, we turn against anyone who has a couple of bad games pretty quickly. But, it does amaze me how experience of the last 10 years hasn't told us that for most players, it takes time to get used to City. For most players, it takes time to move clubs. And, I've seen people at the beginning of the season writing off McAllister at Liverpool because he didn't play as well as he did for Brighton in the first game or two. And you look at that and you think, same with the players we signed, they're good players, but you can't expect to come and join a Premier League team that plays in a different way, especially if you come from another league, and hit the ground running. And you can't expect to come back from injury, and especially when the injuries at the beginning of the season, because Grealish, was pretty tired at the end of last year. So I'd say we haven't seen the best of Grealish since about April. That's 5 months ago. The idea that he can suddenly
wasn't tired, Rich. He was injured. He said that himself.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, but he was fatigued, like De Bruyne was at the end of last season. De Bruyne wasn't playing anywhere near as well after probably the semi-final, but that's just reality. And for Grealish to get back to where he was last March probably won't happen till December, when he's had a month or two play and he's got back in, and we've got to accept that. And it's not dog's abuse for him isn't the answer. The answer is, our players play themselves back into fitness and form.
I mean, people have put here about, McClubbin's put here about it's not his fault. His best attribute is his defensiveness, his defensive attribute. Do you know Grealish last season? He got 12 GA overall. 12 GA. Obviously, Haaland had the most, 44 GA. De Bruyne was then 23. Gundogan was 12. Mahrez was 15. Foden was 17. So, in all, he was he was our fourth or fifth best GA person last year. So I don't get this. He can't assist, he can't score. Because statistically, that's not right. It's not factually true. He's very similar, because everyone was talking about Ilkay Gundogan as being this. There was even talk of a statue for Gundogan last year. Yeah. He's got the exact same GA as Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
That's weird, isn't it?
And just like Gundogan, most of those stats came in the back half of the season.
So
because Gundogan is just clutch at the
right.
end of the season, and Grealish improved when Cancelo went out the door.
There's an agenda against him, unfortunately.
It's that price tag.
The problem
It's that
is,
price tag.
if
we got him for 50 million, he wouldn't be under as much scrutiny.
Yeah, but
that's my only thing. People think I am proper defending Grealish. I'm not. My point is, I'm saying is, if you're gonna slag Grealish, you need to slag Gundogan, you need to slag Bernardo, you need to slag these others off. But people won't do it because what you get is, well, he's a winger and one's a midfielder. Because what they see as a winger, in a lot of fans' eyes, a winger is a goal scorer and an assister. Not in a Pep system, they're not. Raheem Sterling was our right winger, scored 31 goals, and some fans hounded him out of this football club. And Pep wasn't happy with him. Sane was a winger who assisted. Why did Pep get rid?
Wouldn't track back.
But he kept doing that when he lost the ball.
Toys out the Prem, yeah.
So here's my point. What is it, fans? Is it what fans are wanting, or they're not getting what Pep's?
And to be fair, I'm not sure Pep would have got rid of Sané if Sané had happily signed a new contract and stuff. I think Sané got rid of Sané. Yeah,
I agree with
that,
but
Sané got rid of Sané, and he's regretted it ever since. Which is why we're going to sign.
Yeah, he has actually. We know it.
No, that's my only thing, and I'm not here trying to defend. It would be the same if it was Phillips, or what I'm saying about Phillips or Gomez. Just stand by him, because this thing of what it is Grealish will assist and score in different ways than what a Doku will. That's just the reality of it. Grealish will come inside and do them tippy-tappy through balls. Doku hits the byline. Is it not nice to have a variety? Is variety not the spice of life?
You have to.
Is it not nice to have a plan A and a plan B? Or am I
think it's I think it's pretty clear, right? When we play, let's say last season was built on that, foundation of Gundogan and De Bruyne. Gundogan for control, keeping the ball, obviously his late runs for goals, and De Bruyne to be a bit more risky, to make passes. De Bruyne's pass percentage in a lot of games is the lowest. It's sometimes the lowest of anyone on the pitch, because he is there to take risks, put in dangerous balls, because if you don't take a risk, you're not going to produce the balls that get goals. It'll be the same with Doku and Grealish. Doku will be allowed to go and take a risk, try and beat a couple of men and lose the ball. But the only reason he can do that is because on the other flank, we've got a player who won't lose the ball. And so the team is set up with a huge element of control, which we need. And then there are a few individuals with license to, take a bit more risk, lose the ball. And I guarantee, I know Pep's probably, coached Grealish at times, he can be a little bit more risky. But if Doku's playing, Pep's going to be saying the opposite. He's going to be saying, right, Jack, we've got Doku over there. You're going to have to be a little bit more controlling and a little bit, really, you're going to have to be the one who's going to get back out of the two wingers, because Doku, like Mahrez, isn't going to be sprinting back 80 metres and sorting out a club that makes a break against us. And that's the reality of it. And fans need to accept that. If you go out and you play 3 Dokus up front and no Jack and no Haaland, you don't win games. You win games by having all of them, by having Haaland for the goals, the physicality, the way he pulls defenders to him, and his ability as a footballer. Doku to offer us that explosive pace across, going on the outside, doing something different, and Jack to control the tempo and pull the game back. If we are getting a bit ragged, hold the ball. And the other thing Jack does brilliantly, and this is why some other fans don't like him, he is absolutely brilliant at winning a foul. If we're in a position in a game where, we need to regain control, Jack can nearly always legitimately win a foul, stop the game, get all our players back in position, and actually quite often have a really good chance to get a goal now that we've got a team of giants, because any free kick we have anywhere near the penalty area is dangerous now, you know, not just from, you know, if it's direct and, you know, we have players with the talent to take that, but also if we have to pump in an indirect, you know, cross to the big lads. So, you know, that winning of free kicks was invaluable in so many games last year and was really underrated as a way to get control of games back.
Rich, I'll give you two examples too. It was a foul on Grealish that Kevin De Bruyne converted the free kick when we beat Leicester away 1-0 last season, which sort of got us on our way, you know, for the first half of the league season. It was a foul on Grealish from Camavinga that De Bruyne was able to whip that ball in that got the third goal at home against Real Madrid. So the thing is, at the end of the day, it's like majority of fans when those crosses coming from KDB, it's all going to be about KDB scoring that goal. They'll never ever dwell on the fact that it was Grealish that got the foul in the first place.
I love his passion as well. You know, I think that, you know, he's, you know, we've got some really passionate players, but I think he brings a passion. I think he forces, you know, referees to get the yellow card out. I think he, you know, and I think he really winds up opposition teams. So I think he has a lot of very important roles to the whole team and the opposition that we kind of forget about.
You know what? I'd love to see it. Someone's put, what would some people are going to be mad? Say Doku ends the season with like 6 goals. Would you imagine the spin on it all? It'd be amazing. I just don't get why we can't support all players. It's not a choice of Doku or Grealish. It really isn't. You need to get all this out your head. You really do. Someone did ask a question, how long has Phillips got? For me, and then I'll throw it to you, lads, I think not Grealish, Calvin Phillips. How long has Calvin Phillips got? I think Calvin Phillips has got us probably, before the decision's made for him, probably till the summertime, fuller. I think if Phillips wants to go in January, the club will oblige. I'm sure. But while he's here...
Well, that's fine in January, but we've got to go and get a replacement because we need a backup. Yes, we do. Well, we do.
Well, like, what are you replacing? How many minutes has Calvin Phillips played?
No, you need... all right. So at the moment, you've got our first choice CDM out through suspension. If he gets injured, we need a number 6.
Yeah. No, I think he does need a replacement. I think Rodri. Look,
we'll talk about that in the Wolves game.
I'll disagree.
I think number 6.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying he will. He will, but Martin, I really think we do need another player there because I think Rodri looks fatigued already this season.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
I think part of his frustration was that he's fatigued and he's on the edge.
I think there's enough coverage for the number 6 role. Because don't forget,
there's enough cover for Wolves, but I don't think
he'll play Kovacic and Nunes.
Yeah. I don't think there's enough cover for us playing.
He will play. He'll play Kovacic and Nunes.
I think we will not win the treble again if we don't have a player
why you got me a treble again?
No. I'm just saying because that's what Pep wants.
Bollocks! You know, when did Pep say I want a treble?
Of course, he
wants
quote,
everything. Rich, find me the quote where he said I want a treble. Find me the quote.
Tell me when Pep said I don't want to win that trophy next year.
No, he didn't. But what he said was, Rich, the treble was a once in a lifetime achievement.
If we do not have a player who can allow Rodri to rest 20 or 30 games, he is going to get badly injured and we are going to blow up our season. Maybe Kovacic can play 30 games in that role. I'm not convinced he is.
I totally agree. I agree with Richard. We need to buy that.
Yeah, maybe John Stones is the answer. Maybe John Stones could go and play full-time, a full midfield role. I don't know. But to me, Rodri looks on the edge.
Stones, Akanji, Lewis, Kovacic, Nunes, Bernardo can all cover Rodri. That's why we don't.
But 3 of those players are injured at the moment. And what makes anyone think that we're not going to get injuries the rest of the season?
Rich, we're not saying that, but we're not. The problem is, Rich, you can't just buy someone just for buying someone. Say, Rich, in the summertime, whether you like it or not, they were willing to let him go on loan. Pepper said that out of his own mouth. There was no talk of bringing someone else in.
But had we, at that time in the summer, had Stones, Kovacic, Bernardo, De Bruyne, etc., all injured, I don't think Pep would have been saying that. And I've heard from a couple of people that we have money and are likely to spend in January.
Yeah, it'll be Paqueta, not number 6.
Oh, it might, and Paqueta might give us that extra body, which allows rotation, and I accept that could work if Paqueta comes in.
That's
early,
what I think he'll happen. I think he'll come further up.
And I accept that could work because I do think Bernardo could play there.
No, I'm going to say because Alan said we need a replacement for Phillips. That's what I was disagreeing on.
Okay, right.
Buying another body to replace Phillips. Yes, I agree with that.
We need another midfielder. Yeah,
I don't think we need a replacement for Phillips, if that makes sense. McLuhan said it's the eye test, Martin. We as fans are unfair because we want what gets us off our seats. Would you rather watch Doku than Grealish? Grealish excites me as well.
Grealish.
Hey, McLuhan, I make a point to you. King Clancy got me off my seat, but we got relegated.
Correct.
So Sane got me off my seat. Didn't get Pep off his seat. You're saying Pep knows better. What, you know for a fact Pep loves Grealish. Where's his thing? Pep doesn't want Grealish. Pep has not bought... Right, I'm going to say this very clearly. Pep bought Doku to replace Mahrez, not to replace Grealish.
Correct. On the right side.
It was a Mahrez replacement, not a Grealish replacement. Where is this Grealish replacement come from? Where does Doku go when he first comes on a pitch or starts a game? Where does he start?
Right hand side.
I rest my case. Yes, there's issues there, mate. Doku, we got the best. See, and that's fine. You can love. Doku must be playing ahead of Grealish in every serious game for a win. Nope. Why? You love Doku.
Probably with Grealish. He's probably going to play with Grealish,
Again, I'm going to say it again. Doku replaced Mahrez, not Grealish. But where's this? I don't get it. Oh.
The thick, mate.
I don't get it. Listen, I'm not saying, but to me, I think Calvin Phillips will not be long term at Manchester City. But while he's here, I'm going to support him. He's played 142 minutes.
He'll be here till the end of the season. While he's here, I'll support him. End of.
Yeah, I don't. Grealish ain't. You know what? Grealish ain't going anywhere. And if you don't like it, go and support somebody else. Yeah. Grealish ain't going anywhere, and you need to start getting that in some of fans' heads.
You know the other thing. Grealish and Calvin are two of the nicest lads in football. Even personality-wise, like I kind of understood at times why fans didn't relate to Sterling because I get why Sterling was like he was, but he was quite distant, but Grealish and Calvin are two of the nicest lads, and it makes it even more baffling when someone's giving dogs abuse to
Is it? Do you think? And I hate to say it. Is it an English thing? Is it because they're English?
No, but look at there's no player in City's team who would get forgiven more than Foden. So it may be a non-Manc thing.
Foden's getting a lot of crap as well at the minute. To be fair, I will say this: I'm not saying it's the minority, but there are some fans who don't like English players.
Yeah,
that is true. I've seen it with my own eyes because what you get is. You want to support your English boy. There's no need for the English boy part.
No.
I've never tweeted saying you're African boy or you're Belgian boy. Or,
it's our Stockport love.
Yeah, I've never tweeted saying you're Scottish boy or you're Welsh boy. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Don't
I
get
don't
don't
care.
get anti-Welsh, Martin. I'm not having any anti-Welsh stuff here.
I don't care if you are blue, green, black, white, yellow, green. I'm not bothered. While you are wearing the Manchester City badge that is there proudly on Pat's flag, you get my support. Yes, we will criticize. Criticism is totally fine, but there is a difference between constructive criticism and nasty criticism and agenda criticism. I have no problem with fans being against Phillips. I mean, we'll talk about Sergio Gomez. Gomez, I mean, I've said some things, but I've done it in a constructive way. I've not done this, get him out of the football club, he's garbage. The problem Gomez has got is his best position is probably left wing, but you've all kicked Grealish out for Doku, so where are you putting Gomez? If Grealish isn't getting on the left wing for Doku, where's Gomez going?
You don't understand, it's a squad game now. And it is a squad game.
Yeah. Wow. Where was that? I've not seen that, mate. I hope they haven't. Grealish is about... Listen, this is not we love Grealish. My thing is support every City player in a City shirt. I'm not saying you have to love. I'm not saying you can't criticize. Criticize all along. Do it constructively. Don't say get out of my football club and never come back for my boy Doku, or get out the club because Nunes is here, or get out the club Phillips because we've got Bernardo and all this. Come on.
Or don't talk up a player by talking another one down.
Spot on. Yeah, you put that better.
Before and
anyway,
I'll say it again until I'm blue in the face.
Who was your man of the match last night? Because mine was Oscar Bob.
Yeah, I'll go Bob. Possibly Gvardiol second, despite the mistake.
Rich.
We'll give it to Bob.
Alan.
Oscar Bob. I'm impressed with him. He's got a lot to learn, but I'm impressed with what I've seen up to now.
Do you know what? I give it to Bob. Thought it was tremendous. Thought Doku again. Doku was good when he come on. Thought Nunes was very good when he come on. Like I said, I just thought it was giving Newcastle some credit. Thought they did much better in the second half. Yeah. And it is what it is. We moved. We couldn't win it all. No, because Club World Cup coffee. It's not. Listen, I'm old school. I'll take the Premier League and nothing else, mate.
To be honest, I wouldn't even call it a Club World Cup. It'd be more like a World Club Invitational.
Yeah, but it's
like a bloody golf tournament or something. You know what I mean?
It's the owners that won it, and it's something we've never won. So let's just go for it.
Listen, I'm going to give you a right conundrum. We'll talk about this next year. You think it's bad now? You wait till the brand new revamped where they play it in May and June. So, sorry, June and July. Sorry, July not. No, June and July. So you will finish the season in May. And then we will all, instead of going on a holiday, travel all the way over to America to play in a 2-month competition of a 36-team comp table Super League sort of thing. And then we've all got to come back and get ready for the... Oh, by the way, they've got to do transfer business in that time as well. Plus have a holiday and then get back for pre-season after they've spent 5 weeks in America and then come back for the start of the Premier League. And by the way, I did get told by somebody that the clubs aren't overly happy about that. It's not something that's filling them all with excitement. That they're having to do that one straight into the other.
Yeah, well, the English teams will just have less interest in it and take the under-13s instead.
Because the problem is, we don't have a winter break like everyone else does. Daniel said Phillips is damaging his own career if he stays. Pep doesn't trust him. He's still leaving, play for West Ham. Maybe he will, Daniel, but while he's here, slagging him off will not help him. And like I said, I don't think he was bad last night. I don't think he was great. I don't think he was bad. And for me, I want to. We'll get onto it now. Wolverhampton Wanderers on. No, it's on Saturday, 3 p.m. Wolverhampton Wanderers. Who is your number 6? Would you go with Phillips again? The reason I ask, personally, for me, I would like to see Phillips play with the first team properly.
Yeah.
The off. Not saying it's an excuse, but last night it's very hard for Phillips when he's got Oscar Bob ahead of him, Gomez to the right, and Lewis and all that. It wasn't who Phillips would normally play with.
I want him to play. I want him to play.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think we've got what we're playing. Who are we playing away at Leipzig in the week?
Yes,
for me,
And Rodri can't play that.
I'd play Phillips against Wolves, and then
Rodri, Leipzig.
He's going to have to make the call then on whether Phillips has done enough to play at Arsenal, or whether he's going to try and cobble together a different team. I'm assuming that Stones isn't going to be back for Arsenal. I mean, he's back full training, but I'm assuming he needs a few weeks because he's been out for so long. So it's going to be interesting to see how Pep, how he resolves it, or does Pep, does Walker come straight back against Wolves, or does Pep try, Lewis or Akanji or someone else going into midfield alongside? Is Bernardo going to be back? Because if Bernardo's back for Arsenal, it changes. So it's so hard for Pep at the minute, not knowing, whether Bernardo, whether Stones, etc., are going to be back. It does change, but Wolves has got to be in some ways a bit of a dress rehearsal or a test for Arsenal. But I am kind of hoping that Bernardo's back for Arsenal, because he then gives us that flexibility.
Rich, you have a danger if they try and force players back too early, they get injured again, even worse.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We cannot take chances if someone's not 100%. I'm sorry, we can't.
No, we can't. But and that's what I'm saying. I just without knowing what and you probably wouldn't want to bring John Stones back at Arsenal after 3 months. If Bernardo's fit, I mean, he's only been out, a week or two, so that would be fine. But I hope we have Bernardo for Arsenal, because I think if we do, it gives Pep so much more flexibility with the whole 11 if he's got Bernardo in that team. But I'd give Phillips a go against Wolves. I'd rather see that, with the proper team and see how it goes.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure we will.
Yeah, Rich. If not now, then when for Phillips? While I do voice a little bit of concerns that with Arsenal coming up, I'd like for us to go with our strongest, most solid 11, against Wolves, because just in case if things do go wrong against Arsenal, we still have that luxury of still being a point ahead of them, in the league before an international break as well too. In regards to Stones, I would quite happily.
Sorry. Sorry,
I would quite happy. I would. Yeah. In regards to Stones, I would. That is pretty funny. I would. Imagine if the Welsh get knocked out of the rugby
the
World
legends.
Cup.
When you think of the legends,
right, man. Super City's on one today.
The legends who City were founded on, Billy Meredith.
Will you shut up saying it like that?
The pillars and the legends.
Hang on.
Rich, you're like Alan. You're like Alan.
You come up with the I didn't know Billy Meredith was from. I didn't know Billy Meredith was from Abersock. Do me a favour. Hey?
I'm sure he had a sock. I'm sure he had a sock.
By the way, he talks like he's watched Billy Meredith. No, actually, Rich might have watched Billy Meredith. Was he good, Rich?
He was brilliant.
Rich had a season. Rich had a season ticket right?
Didn't we have to say, Yeah, that was back in the days when we really were a crooked, cheating team.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It was probably Rich who started the fire. Rich is probably the reason why we moved to Main Road. He's probably the one who started the fire at Hyde Road.
Allegations. Are you saying it was an insurance job? Documentary out soon. Live on the Mancunian way. City in a dodgy insurance.
There's your 116th charge.
City in the dodgy insurance.
Arsonist. No, look, getting back to what I said, I think John Stones, I don't like the idea of John Stones being cold started into an Arsenal game. I would quite happily save him for the stretch of games we have after the international break. I mean, the first game back is Brighton at home, so I think if you're going to start him a game, that wouldn't be too bad of a game to start.
I'm not sure.
But would you be willing to let him play in the international break for England?
I want him to play Saturday. I don't mean this in an awful way, and this is going to sound so arrogant. Wolves are shit. And that is going to sound so arrogant. If I gave you Wolves, Leipzig, Arsenal, Brighton, which of the games would you want to start Phillips in?
Wolves.
Yeah, Wolves. Yeah.
There you go. He's not. He's because Rodri will be back for Brighton.
Yes.
Rodri will be back for Brighton, 100%.
And he'll be fresh and ready to go.
Do you know what? You could even have Bernardo. We don't know about Stones. This is the problem because we don't know the time length of certain things. It's hard. But to me, do you know what? Even against Wolves, and this it sounds so arrogant, and I'm so sorry about this, but you could even try him for 45 minutes and get away with it. Will you put that sheet back in your pen?
That wasn't from this end.
It just sounded like you had a sheet pen.
It sounded like someone sneezing. Sounded like someone
All I heard
sneezing.
was
Your Welshness is at 11 today, Rich.
I think to be fair, I think it was.
No wonder we haven't heard the dogs. They're out shepherding at the moment.
I think it was a girl.
Rich, I think you should go and work back in that pub at More for Nevin on the beach.
Australia used to be known as the country that lives off the sheep's back. I think Rich took that quite literally when he moved out here.
You want to see Rich? He's back on the Walson at Barry Island next week.
I saw Barry Island play for City, actually. Stephen's dad.
No, that was Barry
great
Conlock.
midfielder.
Stephen's dad.
Great midfielder.
No, anyway, my point is, against Wolves, you could get away with Phillips and the rest around him and give him a proper go for 45 minutes. If things aren't going right, you're not going to be 2 or 3 down. And that isn't being arrogant or cocky. That is the not. Wolves are not a very good team right now. Yes, they may cause us a problem, but they sold us their best player. They are not. Yeah. Wolves are a bit. I was listening to a Wolves fan last night the other night when they got beat by Ipswich, and they were fuming with Gary O'Neill that they've not even got an identity. So what I'm saying is, at the minute, give Phillips at least 45. And then if it is going wrong, then you can change.
I watched them play against Liverpool about 3 weeks ago, and they were schizophrenic because I actually thought first half of the game they were a really good team. They looked really good, and the second half they looked, terrible. It looked like Liverpool could get 5. So it was quite bizarre because honestly, the first half I thought Wolves were going to go on and win 2 or 3-0, and then second half, Liverpool could have. I think Liverpool won 3-1 in the end. They could have gone and won by more. So it was a funny one.
I think, by the way, McLovin makes a good point. That's my issue with the negativity a lot. Players see it. That's what's wrong. It's not helping. And Jack Grealish did an interview for City Podcast, and even he said, "Yeah, we actually do see all the negativity."
Yeah, I think Ned Manure asked him in that podcast. He said, if there's one thing you could change in football, what would it be? And one of the first things he said was get social media out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's right.
It's absolutely right. Yeah.
You ask Harry Maguire. I'm not saying Harry Maguire hasn't helped himself, but we need to stop looking at these footballers are still human beings. They still have feelings. They're not robots because the celebrities and rich doesn't mean all feelings have gone. But let's remember, like I said, you wouldn't treat someone on the street like that. So don't treat, have a bit of sense. Grealish is Irish. You are very right. I'm actually half Irish. How many games are the Club World Cup? The one we're in December is 2. The one we are in 24-25 is 36 teams in it. So is it 12 games? 5? I don't know. It's quite a, excuse me. It's like a Super League-esque thing. That's why there's 5 going to be. By the way, don't forget this 5th place gets Champions League this year. Thank you to us.
Do 5th place have to play qualifiers or not?
Yeah.
Right.
Boycott the new format. Then we can't, mate. Super League is coming once we defeat the Premier League charges. We're going to move on to that as our last part at the end. I do want to touch upon the Athletics trying to get a Freedom of Information Act that was rejected. Martin Lee was, listen, I love America, mate. I've been to America 28 times and I'm going again next year. I love America. No problem. Love America. I was glad we went out last night, a few games. So no harm done. They are forcing clubs to duck out because of the fixtures, which we did talk about last time. You're quite right, Blue Art. By the way, sorry, I'm just going to put this up because it's another dig at Wales. I am half Welsh, by the way. No, I'm a quarter Welsh, quarter Irish, and half English. My grandma and granddad were both Welsh. My other grandma and granddad were Irish. So, and my mum and dad are English, even though my dad's, it's
well,
weird.
they're not. Your mum and dad are Irish and Welsh. I think you just have to accept you're half Irish, half Welsh.
I'm a little bit of everything, which probably makes sense.
I thought there was something wrong.
I was waiting for that one. Super City's put a comment here. He said, where is it? Anyway, he basically says to you, isn't Wales in Chester?
Well, part of Chester is in Wales, yeah.
Well, it could be worse. Chester. I remember Chester City during the pandemic. We're not allowed to say the C word anymore. During when the world shut down, that they had a problem because half the stadium is in England, half the stadium is in Wales. During the restrictions, Wales and England had very different rules. Now, I think it was England or Wales. One of them opened up to crowds, and the other one was no, closed. So, Chester City were like, we're having fans in. No, you're not, because that's half your stadiums in our country.
So what did they have to do?
Debate over it.
Did they have to go out in 2 stands and stage 2 and weren't allowed to move around?
There was a big hoo-ha about it. It was hilarious. And I think it's even Nobody's Coffee. Thank you, mate. And well done last night. Congratulations. They smashed the rags for us. No, but it was funny because I think their main entrance, where their main stand is, half of it's in Wales, half of it's in England. The border is so... I'll get a picture.
Yeah, so Martin, so what you're saying is if we had to play a cup match against Chester, everybody in the squad would probably isolate in the UK except for Leroy Sané, who would have to isolate in Wales because he never tracks back. So
I don't know.
That's an interesting one. Yeah.
Stop that. Phillips will play. Yeah, I honestly think Phillips will play against Wolves, but maybe 45, 50 minutes, and then you can change.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I'm expecting everyone else back. I think Diaz back, Walker back, Edison back, Haaland back. Alvarez thinks he came off to play the number 10. Foden will play. I think where it's going to cause up debate, and we've talked about it already, I think Doku will start up with Grealish, because I think Grealish is going to be slowly brought back because of his injury. Yeah. But I know how it's going to get twisted. Yeah. It'll get twisted that Grealish has been dropped for Doku instead of using brains.
We're playing our hardest grit game by a mile the week after, and if Grealish has only got 1 game in him, he's going to be playing against Leipzig away, because that's a game where we're going to need control. And Pep's shown in Europe nowadays he's happy to go away, get a draw. He'd be happy to go and draw 0-0. in.
I don't know, Rich. I think
Leipzig,
Pep will want the
and-
win away at Leipzig because then automatically 2 games in, you're already starting to create a gap.
Yeah, possibly,
The
but
sooner you get a gap, the
he
more we
won't
can
want to
shut down.
lose.
The more we can shut down
Yeah.
in games 5 and games
But he
6
won't
and
want.
just rotate.
He won't want
yeah.
to lose. Yeah, he won't want to lose. Even in the
Yeah.
knockouts, he showed he's happy to go and get a draw away in Europe,
Yeah.
and so in that sense, I think Grealish will be very important against Leipzig because he will want control in that game, and he will want us not to concede in that game. And so, whereas Wolves, he might feel, well, we can, go let Doku loose and try and, winning that game is what matters.
Look, this
And I don't think
the way,
Grealish has
Alan,
got 290 minutes in him.
just to let you know, Alan, you're saying come to Miami, the Coronas on me. Next year, I'm going to Orlando for a week, and then I'm going, and you will have heard of this place, Alan. I'm going to Naples.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds so awful when you're doing that, Rich.
I know. Get some website, you boogaloo there.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Hey,
Naples.
Alan,
Alan,
there's actually a Melbourne in Florida as well.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm going to Naples, which is in the Everglades, which is about an hour and a half drive from Miami because I've been down to Florida Keys. So I may take you up on that offer next year. Believe it. That was where I was getting to. I may take you up on that. But yeah, right. Right. Are we expecting to get back to carrying on our winning streak at Wolves?
Yep.
Anyone?
This is
Martin looks rushed.
Martin, this is
What
the
is it
most
today?
confidence. Yeah, Martin, this is the most confident I've been going to the Molineux since they got promoted. I think the first season, 18-19, they were a bit of an unknown commodity, so we didn't really know what we were in for, and it was relatively early in the season. Every year after that, especially under Espirito Santo, they just seemed to they knew how to play against us up until like the last 2 or 3, maybe the last season or 2. I was actually at the Molineux when we played them away last season, and I was a little bit nervous given that they had Nunez, given that they had Ruben Neves at the time. They're now gone. Who are their replacements now? I'm not sure. We really don't know what sort of substance they have. I think really, if anything, what they're doing this season is they're going for free hits and then tactical wins, like where they can get the 3 points at the right place at the right time, just to keep ahead of the teams, a handful of teams who I think are a lot more weaker than them. Examples, obviously, Luton and Sheffield, because they've got, Sheffield's dealing with their own issues at the moment. So for me, this is the most confident I'm feeling going to the Molineux. And I mean, when we played them last season, we won 3-0 and didn't feel like at any point we got out of first year, So
Wait, who scored at Molineux last year?
Jack Grealish in the first bloody minute. In the first minute,
I forgot someone who can't. And did
in
he
the
get a
first
goal and
minute.
an assist? Sure, he got a goal and assist that game as well.
Yeah. Yep, Grealish scored in the
Yeah,
first minute. Haaland somehow scored a 20-yard shot that scuffed and rolled about 20 times across the ground. And then Phil Foden in the second half with that little, he basically Cruyff turned past it into the net. Yeah.
Ethan, just when you keep saying 9-0 every week, don't mean 1 week it's going to happen. I know that's what you're doing. You're looking at the odds of opportunity and thinking, if you keep saying 9-0, it'll happen. Prefer the dog, Rich.
No.
Rich,
Can
you want the
I
dog
just say,
not your
can
snotty.
I just say, he said 9-0. That was a home win. So he's thinking Wolves are going to beat us 9-0.
Oh, 9-0.
I think,
that's the point.
Yeah, he's thinking it's Wolves. Wolves are going to win 9-0. Yeah, so because that's he obviously doesn't have faith in Phillips.
Did you say you're going to Nipples? No, I'm going to Naples. I'm hoping to see a few people in Naples, but we'll see.
Naples is where all the golfers live. I'm pretty sure Tiger lives down there.
As my missus says, it's where all the old people go. Oh, Alan's gone.
No, that's Fort Lauderdale. That's Boca Raton. That's where all the fossils are. That's where you need to go.
Went to Fort Lauderdale and I went on the boat trip where that takes you, down to the prison. There's a prison there that is very famous because it had a famous resident. I think it had Bobby Brown was in there as a resident in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, yeah.
Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. Sounds like
is that what you're flying into, Fort Lauderdale or Miami International?
Is Tommy Doyle allowed to play? I don't think so because according to league rules, he's not allowed. Now, Manchester City, when we've played Wolves, we have got a decent record there. If I'm going to be honest, now I remember going all the way back to Molineux when we did get beat by Wolves in the old First Division, especially when a former legend of theirs by the name of Steve Bull would always score on the regular against us. Rich, you know what I mean? Always score on
Did
the
he play for
regular.
Arsenal?
And it's Stevie
He
Bull.
played for Arsenal for a bit too, didn't he? Steve Bull.
No, Steve.
No,
Bold
I think he was
played for
a
Arsenal.
lifer.
Oh, okay.
No, Steve Bold played for Arsenal. He was a centre back.
Bold
Played with Adams
right,
and
okay.
Keown. Steve Bull. I think he might have started out at West Brom as a kid. Steve Bull, but he was.
I think all his adult life
lifer.
he was at one.
Yeah, he was a Wolves lifer, a Wolves legend.
In the last 6 meetings, it's been Manchester City winning all 6. So yes, there's quite a decent.
I can't see City not winning tonight for us. For the lads in Australia, it's tonight, but I can't see us losing.
I think we'll win.
Yeah, I do.
I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going for a 5-1 win.
Bloody hell, here we go.
I think that's justified. I just, sometimes those abstract scores are justified because you just don't know where's Wolves' threat going to come from. I'm not sure.
I reckon
they let the game get away with them at Kenilworth Road. They got a red card too, so they're going to be without. Is it not Benacer? What's the name of the player again who got the red card? I just have here. Oh, Bellegarde. So they're going to be weak for a little bit too.
Hey, look at that side out for your blue hat.
Can I just say one thing completely on record? I'm firmly to the left of Alan. Absolutely firmly. And
Rich is the guardian of this.
No, it's not Rich, not that.
The guardian of this.
I believe. While we're on that subject,
also,
while we're on that subject, I believe you were having a debating session all day yesterday with Leo Turner. Is that correct on WhatsApp?
No, I wasn't yesterday at all. Yesterday was a very 14-hour work day.
Oh, was it the day before?
Before I'm being pedantic.
I rang him on the way.
No.
Before I'm being pedantic, Pat, the golfers nearly all live at Jupiter, Florida.
Jupiter, yeah, that's right. Thanks,
and I think that's on the opposite coast.
Yeah.
Isn't Naples on the Tampa side?
Yeah. No,
Alex going to score 4 goals. Calvin Phillips will score. Jack Grealish 2 goals. Diaz and Foden.
All own goals. Bloody hell. That's mad.
Steve Buller's a legend. Yes, they are. The golfers live in bloody hell, Richard. Will you get out there?
Jamie Pollard did spend the rest of his life in peace.
Yes, they did name a stand after Steve Bull.
Steve Bull
scored at Main Road as well. Anyway, so that's what we think is going to happen. We can't send you any jerseys, I'm afraid, but we will be doing. I will talk about a prize giveaway very shortly. Jack Lee says we're going to win 3-0. Super City's gone 3-1.
2-0.
Huang has looked to threat this season, but will win 2-0. So Nathan Collins? I'm trying to think who they've got now. It's very weird. They've sold a lot of the strikers.
I'll go back to their lineup they had against what is it? Away at Luton. So you can see how contrasting that is. But the starting lineup against Luton was Jose Sarr in goals, Ait Nouri on the left, Kilman, Craig Dawson in defence, and then Nelson Semedo on the right. 2 number 6s in Lamina and Joel Gomez. Lamina's not a bad player. Wang Hee-chan, Bellegarde, who got the red card, and Pedro Neto. He's probably... Him and Mateus Cunha, who played up front, they're probably the 2 most dangerous players, I think, that currently play in that squad at the moment. And then they had 5 substitutions. They had Matt Doherty and Toddy Gomez come in just after the second half recommenced. Boubacar Traore played 20 minutes. Hugo Bueno came in with about 5-10 minutes to go, and then Tommy Doyle got a run off the bench on the 90th minute.
Right, Martin, I've got to shoot off, mate. I've got to do something for someone, so I will speak to you very, very soon. I think City will win 2-1. I don't think it'll be an easy game. I think it'll be a tough game. I think they'll be fighting like crazy wolves. So
Well, hopefully we'll speak to you on the post-match Saturday night.
Yeah, well, it's a midnight kickoff. So if any City fans are in Melbourne, midnight in the Imperial, we'll all be watching tonight. So off you go.
Yep.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Alan.
See ya. Ta-da.
Alan's got a house guest, that's why he's leaving. 3-0, we'll have Pram. Right, I want to get on to the very next things before we do this. Please smash those likes. We're going to try and hit 100 live if we can. And if you can subscribe if you're new, that would be amazing. Try and get 3K as soon as possible. Right, just very quick thoughts on this before we end. We've got about 5-10 minutes. The Athletic, if you remember last week, there was a piece that came out. I think it was in the Athletic, where the British government and the British embassy over in Abu Dhabi. Now, there was a little bit of confusion because everyone thought it was the Abu Dhabi government where I got involved. It wasn't. It was the embassy of the British over there where it had come from. So let me just clear that up before anyone thinks that the Abu Dhabi government, Sheikh Mansour and City and the British government sat down and had a big meeting. No.
Yeah.
No.
It's actually the United Arab Emirates government, not the Abu Dhabi.
Well, the UAE. So it was to do with the British embassy over in the UAE that had been contacted, not the UAE government itself. What they then Athletic had said is that they had asked for what they call a freedom of independent.
Freedom of Information.
Freedom of Information Act. They wanted to see what had been said in this meeting. Because, as you know, in this country, and in America and other countries, you can get a freedom of information. And you, by the way, there is no law that you have to give it either. You can request it. So, for example, say you walk around the streets and you're all being videoed on camera, CCTV. You can write to your local government or the business and ask for a Freedom of Information Act or to get that footage. You don't have to give it to them. And that's what the Athletic have done to the UK government, I believe? And the UK government went, no. Because it might not, because the other thing is, it might not be about football that they've talked about. There may be things in there that are confidential and they are currently discussing that might have nothing to do with football or Manchester City. But what this has done has started everyone up with the belief that City have got something to hide. So have the UK government. So I just wanted to get your quick thoughts, gentlemen, on the brand new conspiracy that City are now colluding with the UK government to stop the Premier League charges.
I think it's actually pretty simple. The UAE and British relationship suffered as a result primarily of two factors. One, the US relationship with Saudi Arabia deteriorated in the last couple of years, partly because of the closeness of Saudi Arabia to, people like Jared Kushner and the previous US government. And then the war in Ukraine, UAE and Saudi was seen as being very not coming in on the side against Russia, but remaining stridently neutral, like countries like India did. And that harmed the British relationship with UAE. They're still allies, but it definitely wasn't as good as it was. And UAE invests significantly, and I think the last partnership invested about £6 billion in British jobs, and the government has been in a process of negotiating 12 billion of investment from UAE into the UK to basically create infrastructure, create jobs, some of it going into renewable and nuclear power, etc. So, thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs, billions of money invested into the UK, which the UK, particularly since Brexit, needs. And that money is coming from a company or funds of which Sheikh Mansour is on the board of both, and Khaldoon Al Mubarak is the CEO. of Mudabala, who are one of the prime investors of those funds. So when Khaldun Al-Mubarak is accused of some of what he is by certain clubs and certain parts of the press, Britain is worried. That's 12 billion that isn't going to come into Britain. That's thousands of jobs lost. And the government, you know, understandably, when it's trying to show Brexit's a success, is worried about it. So it's absolutely inevitable the embassy is going to speak to the UAE about that happening. Now, and that is where there's a problem. We're not a nation state-owned club, but our CEO happens to be one of the most important economic figures, not our CEO, so our chairman, one of the most important economic figures in the UAE. And our owner happens to be the vice president of the UAE and on the board of their sovereign wealth fund. So, you know, it's the reality. The British government doesn't want them being labelled anything bad because it wants the jobs and it wants the investment. And, you know, that's the reality of it. And the fact is, at the Queen's funeral, when Sheikh Mansour was over representing the UAE, he sat down with 3 senior cabinet ministers that day. Khaldun has sat down with the trade minister and the foreign minister because they have roles that are very important to Britain's economic and Britain's foreign policy. And that's just life. It's not a conspiracy. It's just reality.
Yeah. By the way, I'm sorry to restate, Divana, we don't have any signed shirts. I do apologise. Go on, Pat. What do you think?
Oh, just take it for face value. I think Rich has just explained quite a lot more than I ever could. But yeah, it could be anything from a bloody free trade agreement to, you know, whether Sheikh Mansour is questioning whether, you know, Pep's parking ticket is going to make it 116 charges. It doesn't matter. Like, we just have to wait and take everything with a pinch of salt and just, you know, move on from there. So I haven't really got much to add. I mean, I've only just really sort of heard whispers about it, you know, the last couple of days.
Do you think they're getting worried? And by the way, we've got 56 likes and there's nearly 80 of you on, meaning there's nearly 30 of you. Well, just under 30. You've not hit that thumbs up. So if you can give it a big thumbs up, that'd be amazing. Plus, it is now the 28th of September. When we do the RB Leipzig preview or countdown show, probably Monday, we're going to draw the end of the month prize giveaway for September. So you have to be a channel member to be in that. It's 99p a month. We do appreciate it's hard times. If you can't make it, do not worry. We do not think we don't put members above people or anything else. It's just a channel contribution to help your channel. But we wanted to give something back for it, and we wanted to do a prize monthly giveaway where we will sort you out a prize and we will send that to you. But you have to be a member by tomorrow. But when's the end of the month? Let me just check. By post match on Saturday. If you are a member on post match on Saturday, you are in the draw. If not, you'll have to wait until next time. I mean, like Hughes put here, Athletic Heads Up, if you want to read an article, it's behind the paywall. Just click on the airplane mode. Exactly. Is it the Athletic fishing? Because I was listening to Talk Sport, or some called Talk Load of Crap. And Simon Jordan and Jim White were having a real old debate about this. Jim White was like, no, they should give the information. They've got nothing to hide, give the info. But like you said, Rich, there could be very sensitive information in there, nothing to do with football, that they don't want to put out. And then the trouble is, if the UK, it's a no-win situation for me, because if the UK government send them some information and they only have a snippet, say like, you know, like they only give like 4 lines of an email, what would then get said? You're hiding the rest. There's something you're hiding. No, that something you're hiding may have nothing to do with football. That might to do is with a deal they're doing to defraud the government or something. And I just think they've got to be very careful how they do it.
Yeah, do you know what? I suspect the whole thing is a nightmare for the Premier League at the minute, because I think they've got a bit of smoke. They haven't got a gun. They haven't got anything other than a few. I don't think they had a choice, though. I think probably Liverpool and United. Same as happened in UEFA. Well,
they were one of the 9.
Not so much so. They were back then, but that was about UEFA. That was about UEFA. You know, Serafin and UEFA have almost said they had no choice but for these things to happen and be played out in the court. And I always thought Serafin allowed stuff to happen, even though he knew there were people like Parry and, you know, whatever that ex-United person working at UEFA is driving it. He knew that was the case, but they knew that ultimately it goes before a court and a court will judge on the law. And the only way UEFA was going to get rid of the City problem was it going to a full court and being declared, you know, a verdict. And because UEFA wasn't going to be able to not charge City because there was so much pressure coming from certain clubs to do it, that the only way they could do was letting it play out. The Premier League has a problem in that ultimately, unless British English law is broken, it's unlikely to go to the courts. They've got to decide it. And so they've got the problem UEFA had without the out. They've got a group of clubs on one side pushing and pushing and pushing that there's something here. They haven't got the evidence to prove it. And they probably are sitting there wanting City to agree to a mission of doing something wrong in return for a mild punishment. And City are being belligerent on the other side, saying, no, we're not accepting anything. And so I think they're probably in an impasse. And they want an out. And they have to have an out that isn't going to lead to United and Liverpool causing massive problems, isn't going to lead to the UK government going ballistic, isn't going to lead to City going to court and potentially, you know, causing severe economic damage to the Premier League. And you've got to remember the Premier League's got a new TV deal coming. They don't want any upset during that negotiation. They don't want the idea that the best team in the Premier League's going to be forced to not to have worse players or go down, because commercially it's really damaging. So they're in a nightmare situation, and I don't know whether they're just putting their fingers in their ear going la 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 and just hoping that it goes away, because I don't know what the answer is.
Going, la, la, la.
I think they are a bit, because on one side you've got to punish, on the other side there's no evidence. If you do that, there's going to be real trouble. You've got the implications, and I just think they want City to say, okay, we'll accept that we were a bit naughty over this. We'll accept a 5 million, you know, or 10 million fine, whatever it is, and you know, they know we're clean now. They know that the you know, we're driving incredible non-UAE related incomes today. So I think they just want to get a massive TV deal, and that's probably all they care about. And honestly, the sooner that Liverpool United start to try and get their clubs right and win, rather than trying to pull City back, the sooner they'll be competing for the league again. Because they will only do that by making their clubs better than City. They're not going to do it by pulling City down to their level, which is what they're trying to do now, because they can't handle not being the best.
I've got to say, yeah, I don't think he'll go anywhere. I think it's a lot of garbage. I really do. I think the Premier League, I think the longer it goes on, I've always said this, I think if they had proper evidence, they'd have done us by now. It's gone on far too long. They haven't. It's very much like
a lot of people are throwing shit and nothing has stuck yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just where we're at. It does amaze me. But yeah, Mike, obviously we're not gonna go on to that, because I don't want to give it loads of airtime, because it wasn't. Rich has summed it up absolutely perfectly for us, and it's probably better than what any we can do. So yeah. He's in the comments again. How do I block? Right. Anyway, before we leave, Pat has something he wants to say. So go.
Not much, just more for anybody from these neck of the woods out here, which I'm sure you're aware, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you personally, in the next couple of weeks. But the Treble Trophy Tour, although if you want to call it a quad, because it does include the UEFA SUPERCUP, we'll be visiting these shores next month from Wednesday the 11th of October to Saturday the 14th of October, with the first stop being in Sydney. So if there's anybody in Sydney during those dates, on Wednesday the 11th of October from midday to 1 o'clock, the 4 trophies will be making a special appearance on the promenade at Bondi Beach. That's, the world famous Bondi Beach. So yeah, if you are around, that's a good opportunity to get some really good photos with the trophies in quite an iconic location. From then, they will be moving over to Western Sydney to Parramatta at the Rebel Sports Store from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So those are the 2 events that will be open to the general public if anybody wants to go see them. The next event will be specifically for official supporter club members only, and that will be held at our usual bar at Cheers from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So if you want to be a part of that with all the fellow Sydney Blues, you need to be signed up as a member, or at least have your application and payment in process for the season. If you want to go ahead with that, just go and visit mancity.com/supporters clubs. Obviously, look for Sydney and then just go through all the procedures that way. Alan obviously had to scoot, but I'll plug Melbourne for him on his behalf anyway. But on the Friday of 13th of October from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., they will have an exclusive official supporters club member event. Again, you have to be a member. You have to be a member of the Melbourne OSC. You can get in touch with them on melbourneosc@gmail.com, or again, just go through mancity.com/supporters club, look for Melbourne, get yourself signed up. The sooner you do that, the sooner they can get you on the list for that particular event.
I'll just add, if you're a member of any of the supporters clubs in Australia, you can go and visit, Melbourne or Sydney. So if you're down,
to be honest, you can be an official supporters club member of any global branch, but just let us know. Just let us know. And then for the public on Saturday the 14th of October at 10 a.m., there will be a family fan event at Ultra Football in Abbotsford, which is just part of suburban Melbourne. So yeah, you can get involved with that as well too. All this information is on the Manchester City website as well too. So if you go ahead and just Google Man City Treble Trophy Tour, click the first link, or I believe the second link is about the tour coming to Sydney and Melbourne. All the details and all the dates are there as well too. But again, I can't stress it enough. If you want to be a part of what the Sydney Blues, the Melbourne Blues are doing, you need to already be an official supporters club member, or you need to sign up to your local official supporters club member. Sub 2 Bondi is on Wednesday, the 11th of October from midday to 1 p.m. And that'll be out on the promenade. So
I'll be back in 1 minute. Can you two just cover it for 2 minutes while I'll be back? Yeah,
all good. So if anybody knows or is obviously heard of the iconic Bondi Beach, it's probably Australia's most famous beach. It'll be along the main strip, along the promenade there. So don't have a specific location, but you probably don't need it because, Bondi's Bondi. You go walk along there, you'll see everything that goes on. Yeah. Anything you want to add, Rich? I'm sure we'll see you at Cheers with a couple of pints in hand.
Couple of pints, running off down George Street with old big ears over my shoulder.
Yeah. Do you know what? I had a bit of a discussion with the guys in the group chat the other day. I'm looking forward to getting a photo with this Super Cup. I don't know why, but because it's quite a rare one to get, but it's aesthetically it's quite a nice trophy. It's like the League Cup in a way. It's not the most significant, trophy to win, but it's got a nice aesthetic sort of appeal to it. Like I like it as a trophy.
I'm looking forward to having a few beers with some old farts and reminiscing about City in the 1980s, to be honest, and the good old days when we punted it forward and our players controlled the ball by knocking it about 10 yards, off their shin. And, occasionally the mud bounced in our favour and we got a goal. Yeah.
Do you know what? Did you see who our special guest is? Because the club weren't able to get anybody over during the international break. We've got Jack Rodwell.
Yeah, well, he's playing, and I was gobsmacked that he's still only in his first half of his 30s, and he's playing for Sydney FC. So, You know,
he's played for both Sydney clubs, but
yeah.
Look, fair play to the guy. The guy actually reached out to Tanya from our group and said he wanted to be a part of it. So fair play to him. I don't know if you have any contacts. I'm still trying to get Danny Tiazzo to come down for it, but I don't know if that's going to work or not.
Well,
mate.
wouldn't he go? He'd be a better place to go in Melbourne, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but he spends most of his time in Queensland, though, doesn't he?
Does he?
He works with like the farm systems, the farm systems for like Brisbane Roar and the junior clubs up in the Gold Coast and that too. He spends as much time in Queensland as he does in Victoria. You know, we can't get David Oldfield because, as far as I know, even though he's a Perth-born lad, he spends pretty much all his time in the UK now. We could probably get Danny. We could maybe be able to get Danny also because, as far as I know, he's still a born and bred Melburnian.
Yeah. What about Jason Van Blerk?
Yeah, we need to get JVB.
South Wales. Jason Van Blerk, we need to.
No, Jason's Melburnian, isn't he? I'm sure he's Melburnian.
Is he? I thought he was down.
We've never had an Aussie Blue that came from Sydney. They're all one from Perth and the rest are all from Melbourne. We've got an Aussie Blue. We've got an Aussie Blue. He's on loan, I think, at the moment. But as a young no.
Technically,
we don't. Technically, we don't because he was born in Dundee.
He's Scottish.
Because his dad was playing for Dundee at the time when he's.
Yeah, he grew up in Sydney.
The other one, he's a Maroubra boy.
I tell you, who was in Australia was Tony Coleman, the great Tony Coleman, a maverick from back in the late '60s. I think he's in Southeast Asia now.
Actually, one more thing too, Rich too. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Have you spoken on our group? Have you spoken to Andrew Wisman from our group? He comes from Newcastle, but he always comes down for these trophy events. He actually played, or he was a part of the New South Wales squad when City toured Australia back in, I think it was 1972, and he played in that New South Wales squad alongside Johnny Warren. So if he's at the trophy tour, I'll introduce you to him because I'm sure you'll have a pretty damn good chat, a really good chat about a lot of things.
That's even before my time.
No, it's not.
Right.
Martin's desperate to talk.
Yeah, let him be.
No, because I have to shoot in a minute. Right, 2 announcements. If anyone watched the YouTube short, and I hope you did, I announced about a show. I had confirmation of it that it's going to go ahead. Don't know if it's going to be a series or just a couple of shows. We haven't discussed it yet. But me and Big Steve are going to do a show on the Main Road Years. Because some people have been asking for it of random people as well. So, and when Steve's gone on shows, and me and Steve had a chat last night up at St. James's Park. Had a good chat with him for about 15, basically the whole of half time. And we were on and by the way, don't know if anyone heard, I was on BBC Manchester earlier on with Gaz and Emily, Kipak's girl. If anyone knows who they are. Emily, who I've known for a while, she's going to come on the channel as well at some point. I've had confirmation she wants to come on. I was also on LB's channel earlier on. Mulv and LB at some point are going to come on.
Good.
So it'd be nice to get Noisy Pod on, and obviously it's LB. Emily Kipak's girl is going to come on, but we haven't decided. I need to sit down with Big Steve next week and go through the semantics of it and what times, etc., and if any of these lads want to be on it. And we're just going to talk about the Main Road days. We're looking at 2 or 3 matches and talking about them, and what it was like. So yeah, that's in the pipeline as we're going on. Next Thursday, there will be no show. I haven't even told these 2 yet. I'm out. So, what we'll probably do, we're going to struggle. Now, unless any of these 2 want to host it, we can set it up. I just will not be on it. So it'll be the Arsenal preview next Thursday. We may just do an Arsenal preview. And if we may even record it to come out next Thursday instead of doing a live. So there'll be something next Thursday. Yeah, she's on there full time now, Blue Art.
I'm out next Friday morning as well. So yeah, I can't.
If you want, I'm going watching Paul Smith, the comedian. You know, this Scouse guy. And I've had these tickets for 12 months.
Yeah, I'd never use the word Scouse comedian in the same sentence, but anyway.
I'm going watching him in Blackburn, so that's why I'm not here. And I've had the tickets booked for the year.
Scouse comedian, it's in the same bracket as Welsh philosophers.
What we'll do is maybe instead of doing a live,
or Aussie intellectuals.
What we may do is, because what we're going to do is we'll be back Monday night now for the Leipzig preview, which will probably be the toughest game there is. So we'll do the preview to Leipzig Monday, time to be confirmed. Then we'll do the post-match Wednesday, and then we'll record at some point the Arsenal preview. And I'll see who I can get. But I'm going to try and speak with someone who I might be able to get. I don't know. Let me speak with someone. I haven't told these yet.
I think we should get Zinchenko and Jesus on.
Will there be a watch along the weekend?
No, and Sami Nasri and Clichy and
maybe, I don't know. The problem is, Ethan, my partner's going away at the weekend, so I might have to go and pick her up on the Sunday. There'll definitely be a post-match on Sunday, and there'll be a post. So there's going to be a show Monday night live, Wednesday night post-match live, and then we'll get the Arsenal preview out at some point instead of a Thursday night show. That'll be recorded, though, but we'll set it as a premiere. And then we'll do a post-match to Arsenal on Sunday night. That's all right with everyone?
Yeah, all good. Okay.
I'm trying to explain. I think I've explained that well enough. Hope so. But anyway, yes. What I want to do is big thank you to everyone who's joined us. But please remember, listen. Yes, you can have your favourites. Yes, you can love your players. But don't do it at the expense of another player. If they're wearing the badge, support them. All it is. I don't care if you're a new fan, old fan. Everyone's a new fan at some point. But this fan base is special. This fan base is very different. Don't be a bully. Don't be an online troll. Support your players. Yeah, say it till we die. But if you can smash that like on the way out, hit that subscribe. And yeah, take care. And we'll see you Monday night for the RB Leipzig preview show live. And I'll have more details then as well. I'm going to speak with someone. But anyway, take care. Thank you, gentlemen, and Alan joining us.
I love that, gentleman and Alan. That sums it up perfectly.
Oh, and by the way, Ozzy says hello as well. We do wish Ozzy the best. And also someone else, Muddy Duck. I have spoken with Muddy Duck. He's fine. He's just going through a lot at the minute. He'll be back on the channel soon enough. So wish all the best to Ozzy and Muddy Duck. Take care. We'll see you all Monday night. Sorry, not Monday night. Saturday night. Forgotten. Saturday night for the Wolves post-match show. That's when we're live. Saturday night. I'm thinking it's weekend. So Saturday night, Monday night, Wednesday night, Arsenal preview, back Sunday night. So you'll get 5 shows at least next week. There you go. See y'all. Have a great Friday. We'll see you Saturday night for the Wolves post-match. Take care, all.